So, how you been? How have you been? Tell us. How you been? Feel good?
Well, let's introduce ourselves first.
There you go. Well, we usually do the... Okay. All right.
Before we just start with how you been on some voice that they don't know.
Okay. I was going to do the introduction organic, whatever. Anyway. So, hi.
Hi.
Hi. This is the Higher Minds Podcast.
It is. I'm Scott.
I'm Papa Darby.
And we have a guest on the show today.
Yeah. Very, very, very special guest. We are super excited for this one. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Lee Molloy, and I'm one of the co-founding members of the International Church of Cannabis here in Denver, Colorado.
Yay!
Excellent.
That's very cool.
All right.
We are so stoked to be here.
This building's awesome.
Thank you. It's gorgeous. How did you find it?
It was up for sale.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So you in this country, I don't know if you guys realize, but about 6,000 to 10,000 churches go out of business every month in the last few years.
Wow. No,
Yeah, from small ones up to big ones. And so there are a lot of buildings that become available that have very little repurposing that you can do with them.
Huh.
So rather than cut this one up into condos or make it into a big mansion for a Broncos player or something, we decided, why not keep it a church? So that's what we did.
Well, I had heard originally it was bought for the purpose of turning it into apartments, right?
Exactly. And then we changed the mind.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, the International Church of Cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, because we had an opportunity to explore some ideas here, to actually have a base to do that from, and to invite people from all different cultural and traditions to come by and explore what they do with cannabis. And here we allow people to say if they find a ritualistic or mindful use of cannabis in their daily life, then maybe this is a good place to do that with other people, to talk to them about it, and to have a bit of community based around that.
Awesome. Well, and I believe everybody here is grateful. So, how have you found your reception since you started on 420 in 17?
Well, we opened officially to the public on 4/20/17. We'd been here for getting on for 9 months, a year before that. There was a lot of restoration to do to the building. There was we have the magnificent ceilings painted upstairs by Acuda San Miguel. They were actually painted in December of 2016. The front doors and the facade of the building was painted by Kenny Scharf in February of 2017. And we had other just indoor stuff to do. It was a school at one point. This place had been a bank at one point. It had been different uses, and so it was weirdly sort of bastardized between itself to be not very consistent throughout. So we tried to make it into a consistent use of space, and ended up being named one of Atlas Obscura's top 20 reclaimed spaces in the country last year. So that was nice.
No way. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And this started out as a Lutheran church, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
It was originally built as a Lutheran church. There was a wooden church here. I think it was started in 1904. They built the wooden church, and then they built this church over the top of it. And during the time it took to build that church, which of course it's about 50 years or so back in the day, you had a situation where they ran out of money, and you had the Great Depression. They went broke, and the bank took it back. And then it has been other things, a lot of other things since. It's been at schools. It's been like a bank. The bank actually used it as a bank. It's been different denominations of churches. And it had actually stood empty for about 2 years before we took it over.
So you're 513C.
Correct.
Did I say that right?
You did.
Okay. How did it take convincing?
The interesting thing about 501c3 is that we have a constitutional right at the top of our constitution here in this country to practice freely our religion. So what that means is that I get to claim it from the top and say, this is what we're doing. And then what the government then has to do is take it away from you. And so you get to start from that position.
Nice.
Which I think is good. However, you do actually require the paperwork in order to sort of like then go ahead and fight the ensuing court cases, etc., that come along to try and question what you're doing. So, we were able over about a year and a half to get the IRS to recognize us for what we were, and so we're official now.
Congratulations. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
And for those who didn't catch on, 501c just means that they're tax exempt.
501c is
Well, it's religious.
It's a religious
Right.
organization.
Right.
Yeah.
But you are tax exempt, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because taxation is theft.
We believe that here. So, sorry, let me collect real quick. It's a religion.
Yes.
Why is it a religion and not an interest group?
Interesting question. Well, because it starts with a set of principles, and it basically, the idea of elevationism, which is the name of the religion, right? Elevationist, correct. Elevationists believe that cannabis, the mindful or ritual, sacramental, however you want to put it, use of cannabis can help you in transcendental experiences, can help you explore your deeper self. It's not just sitting around getting high and watching like Avengers. It's like there's a little bit more to it, and it's about ritualistic, mindful thinking. And it's about being able to do that with people that are also exploring those ideas. So it starts off with an idea that firstly you have to. It's about the golden rule. The only rule that we have is the golden rule. Right, which is the most across the board in every religious organization, every religion you're ever going to find. There's basically a version of the golden rule, which is, we all know it as do unto others as we would do unto us. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, that's it. Right. And in the Judaic religion, first day in the Torah, it's right there, and then after that line, it says that that's the whole of the law. Everything else is just commentary. Right. So we kind of start from that position. Right? As long as you treat people in your right mind and in a healthy mind, right? You treat people how you would like to be treated. That's kind of really all we need, right? So we start from there. Then we also believe that taking positive action, getting out there into the community, helping people, going out on the streets, feeding the homeless, clothing the homeless, gathering toys for children at Christmas who are less fortunate.
You do those activities?
Yes, we're a church. So that's what we do. It's a community-based church. Right? So we act exactly the same way as a church, with just a little bit more weed and a little less dogma. That's really how we're about.
On top of that, do you have a list of tenets?
No, I mean, this is basically it. Firstly, golden rule. Right? Secondly, action, positive actions, and charity is more important than thoughts and prayers. Sending thoughts and bucket loads of thoughts and prayers and
Amen.
not doing anything for anybody.
Actions speak louder than words.
Precisely. Okay, so that's really where we're at. And then on top of that, as long as you are welcoming and accepting of people from all cultures, traditions, and backgrounds, as long as they're saying they're also doing the same thing, then everybody is welcome here to be a part of our community and be a part of our church. So I don't give a damn where you come from. I don't care if you're Jewish. I don't care if you're Hindu, Muslim, Buddhist. It makes no difference to me. As long as you believe that you're a part of a community that can be greater than yourself, as long as that you're welcoming of other people without like bigotry, and as long as you're able to stand up there and say, cannabis is useful to this as part of your life. And I think that's really what we're about here. It's not really very complicated.
And you consider elevationism as a companion religion to any other, right?
Yeah, I mean, there are people here who are quite committed in their Judaic background, or in their Christian background, or in their Buddhist practices. Various people that still say, I'm this and I'm this as well. But we also have people that just say, no, I'm not. I'm really, to all extents and purposes, agnostic or atheist, but I believe in elevationism as a real thing that really helps me get through my life. And we've literally had people who have come here and have credited this church and this organization as saving their marriages, as putting them back onto the right path to life. Exactly. So like, it is really a serious endeavor being taken on in perhaps a way that most people wouldn't perceive as being so serious, because it involves cannabis and we have a fun environment, and it's a beautiful place.
And how many members do you guys have?
Depends on how you count them. So
I'm a member.
okay, so you see, you can count this guy, right? The guy's never been inside this place in his life, right? Or you can count people that are here every week and like going out, making sandwiches and going out and feeding the homeless, right? Who do you count?
I guess I'm less of a member.
So, I mean, but like, so we have kind of like, I would say like associate or online members, people that are kind of friendly to our Twitter cores, and then we have people that are actually real members who are here on a weekly, very regular basis to actually be a part of something and really try and expand this community into a really functioning project.
Other than the obvious 420, do you guys have holidays that you come together and celebrate? Do you guys do like a Christmas party per se or anything like that?
Sure. We just celebrated, I think it was 2 weeks ago now, the Bob Marley Passover Seder, where we literally...
Nice. That's fun.
Yeah, I mean, we literally took the ideas of the Seder, the Passover, and applied, instead of the drinking the wine, it was smoking weed, as it was passed around. We did like little readings and prayers, and it was set up by somebody who comes from a Jewish background, but they wanted to incorporate that into their elevationist life. And so we had like 50 people eating dinner together, cooking dinner together, being part of this community upstairs right now, and taking part in that service. We also had Thanksgiving, right?
Thanksgiving.
Which is
we need to do that.
Yeah, I mean, our Thanksgiving was another beautiful event. It was like, it was like an orphan's Thanksgiving. It was people that don't necessarily have a family here in Denver. They didn't have a place to come, so they all came here. And again, we had an extended family type of community. And then another thing we did was we also celebrate Festivus, where we've celebrated.
No way.
Yeah.
How does one celebrate Festivus?
Well, it's a Festivus
for the rest of us.
Yeah, exactly. So we just took on some of the tenets that came out of Festivus celebration. That some people, I know the belief is it came from Seinfeld, but it's been around about 20 years before Seinfeld.
Seriously?
That I didn't know.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah. So it was actually one of the it was from one of the families of the writer, one of the writers of Seinfeld, somebody involved with the show. It was his family back in the day. His father was the one who created it.
Okay.
Yeah. So so that was kind of fun, and so we tried to kind of create an extra holiday experience for everybody to get together around that time of year. So
that's awesome.
Nice. Yeah.
What's your position here? I'm
one of the co-founding members of the church.
What's that day to day?
Well, day to day means I'm here every day. I'm kind of like one of the people that manages, runs the place, tries to keep it going, and
so this is a full-time position for you.
It's a full-time unpaid position.
Okay.
It's a lot of work, really.
Are you religiously trained?
No.
How did you get into this?
Well, I do come from a religious background in terms of being brought up in a religious home.
What was that?
I was brought up in a evangelical Christian home.
Okay.
So speaking in tongues, all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very hardcore. And considering the incredibly small minority population of that in the UK, hey, that's my luck, right? I should find myself brought up in that situation where 90% of people in the UK are pretty much atheists, so it's very weird. But I was able to see different sides of religion and different sides of how this works and sort of see my way through it. But still found that there is what we're missing increasingly, I believe, in this ever online screen-driven world is a sense of actual real community. So actually having a community church to go to where you can actually have these experiences is nice. And people do miss that, even though they might not be super believing in the fundamental word of what they were taught as they're growing up. They still miss that sense of community. They still miss that sense of going out and helping people and being part of a greater whole and really wanting to be something bigger than themselves.
Now, obviously, you can sign up online to become a member. How does one become more active in it?
Well, you become more active in it by just coming here and, meeting people and start, getting in.
You just show involved. Up and start hanging out and then go from there?
Yeah. You gotta, put your money where your mouth is, so to speak, and get involved.
To go back up one question, do you bring any evangelism to elevationism besides the initial?
We have, in terms of trying to get people to come and visit the place and just see the play and get involved and see what we're doing. Yes, because we need to get people through the door to literally play to keep the doors open. Right? So in terms of
Is that hard to do?
it is quite hard to do.
Oh, really?
Because there are a lot of restrictions put upon us by government regulation and law or whatever. We can get people today during the day. We can have people come in. They can experience the Beyond experience, which is a 10-minute guided meditation, and you've got this whole laser light extravaganza thing going on, and you can get a real feel for the excitement of being upstairs. But that's all it's non-consumption, and it's really about experiencing the building and the sort of the artwork and the beauty of the place. If you want to come to an actual church service, then that is, those are consumption, which means they have to be private members only. So it's a private church, which is kind of weird, which means that every week I have to resend out emails to members to say, you want to come to church this week? Like privately, come to, whatever the name is, and that's their real private invitation. And the way, because you have to really do this to not get around, but sort of work within the sort of framework that's been built here in Denver, because we've had like legal issues.
I was going to say, you personally, right?
Oh yeah,
we get into that.
Yeah, totally. Like 2 years of going through court.
So since the opening, it's ongoing?
On our official opening day, which as you pointed out was 4/20/17, which is our official opening, we had a bunch of undercover police officers trying to get in here. We had 80% of the Denver's undercover marijuana division trying to get themselves into this church on that day. Some of them managed to get in by using their police methods, undercover methods, and some of them were turned away at the door. Some tried to bribe their way in, they were turned away at the door. Others tried to get in without passes, they were turned away at the door. A couple of them managed to sneak in through a couple of aged volunteers. So, based on that, the police then decided we were issued citations for apparently having open and public consumption of cannabis, and then we fought that over a period of about 2 years. So I was in court several times to testify a couple of months on the stand, and Steve Burke, who was one of my co-founding members, took a jury trial and was actually found guilty by the jury.
That sucks so much.
Yeah.
Sorry,
it does, but it is what it is. Whereas we split our trials. So my trial, I decided to take a bench trial straight to the judge, and he found me not guilty on the counts. So the judge's word is a lot stronger and more powerful. So we are, hoping now we're going to be left alone just to continue to do what we're doing.
That does set a good precedent for the future.
Yeah, basically, if the City Attorney Office decided to try somebody again, or appeal against a judge's decision and lost, that would literally be black letter law or what's called case precedent, which other people could then use as precedent.
To reference, right? While we're sort of on the topic, what is the legality of smoking in this building? Invite only? Is that correct?
It is a very grey part of the law currently because of the adjudication the judge made. The legality seems to be, as long as we keep trying to do what we are, which is it's private. You must be invited privately in here. We have to maintain we're maintaining different levels to the building, so that only during a church service you can only smoke up in the chapel. For example, you can't smoke on the ground floor lounge level, because right on the ground floor lounge level we're going to have somebody working in the gift shop or whatever. And the way it works under the Colorado Clean Indoor Air Act is that you can only have 3 or less people working before you run foul of the Colorado Clean Indoor Air Act. Okay, so if you have someone at the front door...
Sorry, can you say that again?
The way the Colorado Clean Indoor Air Act works, right, is that if you have 3 or fewer people, or more people, I should say, working in a building, right, you will be foul of that act, so that it's illegal to do that. And that is in place for people working in offices, and it was originally put in place for smoking cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
And what they really did is they just tacked onto the end of it marijuana, which aren't used in the same way, and it doesn't make sense.
Right.
So that the problem is that the law was so ridiculously written that the judge really had to make a judgment that said, I don't really like the way this is. So as long as you keep your 3 employees on the bottom floor, and they keep the top floor separate, and there's separation, which there's a whole set of stairs and double doors at each end. Then it seemed like he was okay with that, and I was not guilty for creating a situation where people were smoking in public after that.
What is an individual's responsibility with weed here?
How do you mean?
Don't give it to kids. But it's 21 and up only, right?
Correct.
You turn anybody else away. Do you card people?
Absolutely. Every single person that comes through the door.
Okay. So if do you freely give it away? Do you can individuals sell it to another individual here? Like
there's no
that's illegal, right?
No sales, no transactions, nothing like that. You're more than welcome to share the weed with anybody you want, but you can't sell it to them. And that's really where we're at with that. So, yeah. So basically, you can't sell it, but you can share it. You must be over 21. We do card everybody at the door. Nobody gets in without being carded during, when we have consumption hours.
Okay.
Outside of those consumption hours, can you bring under 21 people in here?
Yeah, I mean, just to go upstairs and to view the light experience and be a part of that, and to check out the artwork and whatever when we're open during those days, when we're open during the weekend, whatever. Absolutely, we can do that. And I think the rule is basically young kids need to be with their parents, but other than that, everybody's welcome to come and check the place out.
Mm-hmm.
So, when are your services, and what's the service like?
Services are Sunday evenings. And they are pretty familiar to anybody who's ever been to church, I would say. We typically will start off with a speaker. Actually, not quite correct. We start off with a ritual candlelight ceremony, where we light the ritual candle. And that really represents going back in time to the campfire, the idea of sitting around a campfire, people like being part of a community. It's how we started to build community originally, back in the day, back in our cave times. So that's really where we start from. The ritual candle is lit. We have a little meditation and prayer over that to welcome everybody, and then people are welcome to come up and light their joints from the ritual candle. That's shared around. People share their joints. They take part in a sort of like just start to commune with each other, talk, chat, be a part of that. We'll then have a speaker for the most part. We have had speakers from pretty much every background you can imagine up there speaking, and it's usually going to be cannabis related, whether it's on cannabis in their spiritual health, cannabis in their medical health, or just how they feel it helps them in the day-to-day world, or sometimes we have people in the activist world. This is different type of people speakers, and then after that we'll typically have a musician or a band play and some sort of music experience. And then after that, people will come down to the sort of second floor, and we'll have food, and people will hang out and chill, and be more of a community vibe. Organized doing stuff, whether again it's out volunteering or other stuff that you would normally do. Little groups will form and to do little work they want to be a part of, and that type of thing. It's not very strange. It's very churchy.
It's a church that you get to smoke at.
Yeah, it's really all it is.
Absolutely. I think you mentioned before you do smoke during the services.
Correct.
Do you have a specific role that's reoccurring in each service?
Personally?
Yes, you.
I will often end up being, by default, if you will, the host of the whole thing. Sometimes we'll speak, but not every week. We share those roles. We don't have the
So there's not one central preacher type figure.
Correct, because we don't have an authoritarian one-to-many structure. That is very much antiquated. Whether it's in university halls and the lecturer teaching to the students, whether it's, the preacher talking to his flock, whether it's, however it is, there's a one-to-many structure that we're used to in society. The television speaks, news guy talks to everybody at once. We now live in a world where we have many-to-many world. People are able to interact and are able to spread their ideas back and forth very quickly. And that's really what we're trying to be a part of. Like to be a part of a world, a modern world, in which we can share our ideas quickly without saying, I have authority and you don't. Right? And then look at those ideas, explore them, discuss them, and then work from there. And that's really how we do this.
So you don't get paid for that stuff?
No.
How do you get paid?
I have another job.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. I can ask more about that or not?
Well, you can. That's whatever you want to do. I work in digital marketing, so I come up with like marketing plans and to sort of come up with silly ads and things like that.
Ah,
yeah.
We might want to employ her services at some point.
Yeah.
This is just a standalone church, right? You guys haven't branched out yet? Do you have plans to?
Yeah, I mean, not yet, but we have a lot of interest. Like almost, I would say, on a weekly basis, I field questions from people around the country and around the world, in fact, who are interested in starting their own one of these, and being a part of it.
Like franchising?
Yeah, I can. I mean, I'm not sure we're the right term for it, But yeah, I mean, they just want to know, well, how did you do it? Well, because there are a lot of people, though, to be honest, are really looking for a way of like, if I do this, can I smoke weed legally in my state? And it's like, no, but it's, they are looking, but many people are looking for something like that they really do experience, like when they're using their cannabis and they're ritually and mindfully using it and being a part of like some sort of spiritual experience, that they really want that to be shared with other people and share it with other people, and to start a sort of church or group to do that. We're not ready for that yet. I mean, literally, it's only been 3 weeks since it's a normal court case to get through this bit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, thank you. There's a lot of work to do until we're ready to sort of codify something. It's like, okay, well, you can follow these steps and maybe, we can work on this. But at the moment, it's just too much to get this one up and running and fiscally sort of like valid. So, at this time.
So along those lines, you've been doing this for 20 months, or you've been public for 25 months now.
Yeah.
I'm sure in the life of a religion, that's nothing.
Sure.
But I'm sure there's some steps you've taken to streamline what you do. What did you do wrong at the beginning? Anything?
I mean, I think it's hard to say what we did wrong.
And I'm sorry, that's a big assumption.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we probably did do things wrong and made mistakes, but there's no real reason to think that they were wrong at the time, because it was breaking new ground. And like sometimes you just got to go exploring and see what happens. And that's really what we had to do. We had to sort of figure out what is the way to thread the needle through this to first be taken seriously, secondly to make enough money to survive, third to not be shut down and have the building forfeited by the government. And there was all kinds of things that we're trying to achieve at the same time, and find our way through by growing a new community to say, well, what are we going to do next week? Because we don't have to follow a map. I don't have to follow, the book, the way, from Lutherans or Catholics or, Buddhists. I don't have to follow their maps. We get to start from scratch. And to be able to do that means that, you're going to do stuff that some people respond to well, other people don't respond to too well. Like I say, but we ended up with a whole bunch of cool new stuff. I mean, how many churches could you go to? You can smoke weed, can you celebrate Thanksgiving, Festivus, and the Bob Marley Seder, as well as helping homeless and do all the other
stuff. Any of those things.
Exactly. Right? So we found these ways through by just trying stuff out and seeing what works. And I don't
just
know
personally, I think you got a great thing going.
Thank you.
Now, there's a Church of Cannabis in Indiana. There's another one I read about in California. So there are other cannabis-related religious organizations. Do you have a relationship with any of them?
I mean, no. I mean, I think the Church of Cannabis in Indiana, the guy's name's Bill Levin, I think. He refers to himself as the Grand Poobah.
Literally?
This is his title. This is the title he's annoyed himself with. So this is people that I'm not really very interested in because I don't really think they're helping. They're just making a mockery of something that people are already very ready to mock.
So what have you done in the community? Begs the question, I think.
In the community.
So your one of your tenants is action. What actions have you done?
Yeah. Are you talking in the cannabis community or in?
No, I mean, how are you helping the community?
Sure. I mean, we've gone out all through this past winter on a weekly basis, literally feeding and clothing, collecting club warm clothes and blankets and all that kind of stuff, then going out to the homeless population, giving them sandwiches, giving out those clothes, warm clothes, and all that kind of stuff. That's been a weekly project that's gone on for the last 5 months.
And there is a pretty sizable homeless population in the area.
Absolutely.
It's one of the largest.
Yeah.
In America.
So that's been something that's been an ongoing project. I think I mentioned earlier,
Ashtray somewhere around, I'm sorry.
An ashtray, there might be one up there, I don't know, behind that thing. I can probably find one somewhere.
Sorry for breaking that flow.
Oh, no.
I'm also stoned.
Alright, we get on.
You're talking about community. What?
We were talking about feeding the homeless.
Yeah, we did that. And we'll continue to do that. It's an ongoing passion of some members of our church. We have also gone out or collected and gone out for Toys for Tots at Christmas time, for the holidays for children underprivileged and that kind of stuff. We've gone out and done street cleaning efforts in the local neighborhood. Yeah.
And when you do this, do you advertise where you're coming from?
No.
Or are you just kind of doing it just for the sake of doing it?
Yeah, no. One of the things we often discuss is about that, like this sort of self-aggrandizement, of going out wearing the T-shirts and like, yeah, look at us being great, which we're not really doing that. We're just doing it. People are doing it because they feel passionately about getting there in the community and helping out, not because they're trying to advertise us,
That's something I actually really respect.
Thank you.
This day and age of doing nice things and filming it to get the views or to get the advertisement or whatever, it drives me nuts.
Right.
Do something good because you want to do something good.
Yeah. Indeed. Yeah.
I saw you guys do weddings here too.
We have
Cannabis weddings.
We have had a couple of weddings here, that's correct. And we've got a couple of big weddings coming up later on in the year.
Who presides?
Typically, people bring their own person to preside over the wedding. Yeah.
Do you have an in-house
ordained person?
Thank you. Ordained person.
Ordained person. Not. Well, yes and no. Not in the way that. I'm not sure how it works actually in terms of legality on it. Someone else has to sign off on it anyway. Anyone can perform the ceremony, but then you still have to have it signed off. So.
Like I know years ago I went online and got ordained.
Yeah.
I was supposed to marry a buddy and then that fell through. So, I'm ordained and I've never used it once.
Right. Exactly.
So, what's your ultimate vision for elevationism?
Well, I think for me there's several goals involved. One is that people should not feel ashamed or scared to explore their use of cannabis in a way that's different, or in a ritual, mindful way, and they should be able to talk about it. They should be able to talk about it with other people that also are interested in this subject, and enjoy doing that, right? And not to be shamed into it, right? And I think it's really important to stand up and say, no, it's okay to do that, and that's part of
Amen to that too.
Thanks. And that's why we fought, in the courts for this, and we continue to fight for this. Other than that, but that really is all it is. That's the ultimate vision of this, and then just to continue to make it work and keep it going and keep it alive.
Did we say what the weed of the week was?
Oh, goodness, no. Oh, my goodness. So, we lucked out and got our favorite weed, which is Golden Go.
Nice.
Yeah,
absolutely my favorite strain.
They never have it there.
Never. When they do, it's gone in like a day or two.
I got twice as much as I usually got. I should have gotten the whole thing, but I need to get another strain too.
Nice.
Do you have a favorite strain?
Actually, Golden Go's not a bad one. I do like that. Other than that, let me think. What is a good one? I mean, I just like Kushes and...
Do you go sativa or indica, or do you care? Or?
I'm not that concerned now, and I especially find it, as the years have gone by, less and less difference between them, as I think, according to a lot of people I know who are growers, they're just... they're becoming more and more hybrids anyway.
Yeah, I've heard that essentially everything's going to turn into a hybrid.
Yeah, so, I mean, back in the day I would have said, I was more interested in sort of maybe indica, but now I don't think it really matters that much to me.
How long have you been smoking weed, and at what point and in what circumstance did it become a sacrament?
Well, we got to be going for kind of around about 30 years now.
Okay.
And I would say the first time I used cannabis, I wasn't smoking weed. I was never really much of a smoker. And I ate it. I ate like probably, the first time ever I used it, I ate probably a quarter. So it's quite a...
You ate a quarter?
Yeah. I didn't know what to do, so I just ate it.
You ate, the first time you had weed, you ate it?
Yes. and it was somewhat, and it was somewhat of a heroic dose, like,
oh wow,
as you would call it.
Did you? Was there any effect?
Oh, I was hallucinating. I was like,
a quarter. The first time, yeah.
I was like, I remember it was a very interesting experience because me and my friend had gotten, it was like about half, from his sister. So we just didn't know what to do. So we did it.
Where'd you get it?
From this guy's sister. So we just basically split it in half with some chips, British style chips. Ate it, and then he went out of his mind and went home, and his parents had to take him to the hospital.
Oh, that's great.
I just was.
I mean, it's not good to do with the hospital.
Right,
it's fine, right?
I was wandering home, and I was seeing crazy stuff, hallucinating all over the place, rats running on walls at me and stuff, and I just went home. I remember just laying in bed, and I was just having an amazing hallucinatory experience, and an amazing little elevated experience, and just thinking, this is the greatest experience I've ever had in my life.
It's atypical.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, obviously, I mean, and the opposite was happening just up the road. And so, yeah, so and I just remember this is amazing, and just that was really a turning point for me, because I was really exploring that instantly. Went, oh, interesting. So I started really looking into the whole ideas of cannabis use and psychedelic use as exploring my own mind and my own ideas about life, the universe, and everything. So it was ready from day one when I was a kid.
That's While amazing. We're on the topic of psychedelics, what do you think about Denver just decriminalizing psilocybin mushrooms?
And will you incorporate it?
Look, ultimately, I have no problem at all with psilocybin mushrooms. I think they're very useful to people. I think, especially in microdosing, and, it can be a really interesting therapeutic use, and people discovering themselves to becoming better people, I think, through using it. So, and definitely a lot of people that are members of this church were at the cutting edge of, getting people to sign up for the petition to get it on the ballot. And it was a big part of people's life in this church as well. And so, yes, it's I often refer to, our brothers and sisters in psilocybin, as like the alliteration of saying that. Yeah, so obviously I think it's a good thing to try it. I'm proud of the people at Denver for giving it a shot. It's interesting.
Are you a psilocybin user?
I wouldn't say I was a regular user, but definitely, yeah. Absolutely, I find it very useful sometimes.
So the first time you ever tripped, you ate a pound of mushrooms, right? Had an amazing experience with that.
Not so much that time, yeah. But yeah, I enjoy tripping on mushrooms a bit too.
Obviously, one of the direct results of the legalization of marijuana and now the decriminalization of psilocybin is the corporatization of the product. Any opinions?
Well, I think you can look at this several different ways. What we're going to see is we currently are going to see a commodity. We have a commodity, like, raw sugar or raw coffee or raw grain, right? And that price of the commodity is dropping fast. The price of production is going to keep dropping very, very fast until it's basically costs nothing to produce. So I don't think we're going to get away from that happening. And then, the corporate side of it, it depends on how they produce their the cannabis. Is it going to be like smothered in like nasty chemicals, or are they going to be using more natural ways of keeping it clean? And I think that's the goal. And so for me, we're looking into like having, like I say, growers and people who grow their own cannabis to have our own ritual use cannabis as well. So we know that we're getting the right stuff and we're using it here. But in terms of the corporation, what are you going to do? I mean, life is going to. We live in a capitalist world. It's not going to stop.
One of the nice things about cannabis is that it's a weed. Like, you can grow it by yourself. You don't have to go to the store and get it or whatever.
Absolutely.
Like,
but if you grow
there's
it outside,
always going to be that option of growing your own versus buying it from Philip Morris or R.J. Reynolds or whoever.
But if you grow it outside right now, they'll take your house away. So, is it worth it?
Right.
It's really, when you're talking about something that basically costs nothing to grow anyway. I don't know. I think overall regulation is probably a good thing, because I don't really trust most people to do the right thing, but then again, I don't particularly trust the government to do the right thing either, so who knows.
But at the other end, if we deregulate it a little bit and allow people to grow it in their own yard or whatever, then you know exactly what you're getting chemical-wise and everything too.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, there are definitely different ways.
There's pros and cons.
There's many ways to skin this cat.
Yeah.
As yet, I believe it's been a positive change. So it's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Sorry. So speaking of corporatization, do you have merch?
We sell some T-shirts. That's pretty much. We got some T-shirts and hats and little bits and pieces and tchotchkes that we sell in our gift shop.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You can order online too, correct?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
What's the website?
You can go to. Easy way to remember is internationalchurchofcannabis.com.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's also elevationists.com or .org or any of those combinations.
And you guys accept donations on the website as well? If people didn't want to buy a T-shirt, they just wanted to donate to the cause?
Oh, yeah. You can do that.
Yeah. If one can't donate, what can they do to contribute?
Well, if they're a part of the church and they want to be a part of it, then, to basically spread the word, is the best thing to do, to give people positive information, to not let people be swayed by untruths and non-factual things about cannabis in general. We're here not to necessarily promote just ourselves, but to make sure, like I said, that cannabis is seen as a positive force, and not just a force for Cheech and Chong style idiots. And if they can show the world that, then I think we're going to end up in a better place for that.
What are the parishioners like?
What are the
the average member?
Yeah, is there an average member?
No, not at all.
Where they come from?
We literally have people that are, barely just over 21 to pushing their 80s, male and female, all over the country. People who were, dancing in fields in the 60s, and are still playing that agenda, to young people who are sort of turning up, millennials and whatever, in a completely different world, and but they're all together with this one idea that this is important somehow. There's something about using cannabis in their lives and the community that we created around that is important to them. So what are they like? I don't know. They're like people who live in Denver.
It's just like any other church. It brings people from all walks of life together.
That's right.
I'm looking at your website.
Okay.
You've got a lot of cool stuff in here too. There's a lot of interesting posts and whatnot. Just saying. Yeah. It's worth a view, and it's got a nice 360 picture of your chapel and stuff.
That chapel is beautiful.
Yeah, that was an incredible experience to be a part of that.
And that was whom?
It was painted by a Spanish painter. His name is Okuda San Miguel. and we actually found his work on a Red Bull skateboard video. And what happened is they'd sponsored the creation of a skateboard park that they built inside of the abandoned church. And it was all painted by a Kuda. And so we're just like, that would look awesome if he painted the inside of our church. And reached out, and like a few weeks later, we were flying him and his assistants over from Madrid, and we built all the scaffolds upstairs for him, gave him all the paint he needed. And 6 days later, the whole thing was done.
So it's like the Sistine Chapel of weed up there, then.
We've been called that multiple times.
Damn. Not as original as I thought.
And if you guys looking out in our gift shop, you will see that all the turtles are actually Michelangelo. Also painted.
I don't think I noticed that when I walked past them.
I like that. That's cool. You'll have to point out other Easter eggs. What's your address here?
It's 400 South Logan Street, Denver.
How do people get a hold of you? How do people find you better?
The easiest thing to do, if you Google Church of Cannabis, we come up. The entire front page is ours. You just need to Google anything to do with this kind of subject matter, and you're going to find that we're all over the thing. So that's the easiest thing to do, and then just find our website or go to our Facebook page or Instagram, where we got it all covered. So,
and this has been like I saw second best place in Denver to visit.
I think Atlas Obscura had us at number 2 over the holidays, like the 420, the holidays. The 420
was holiday for us.
Yeah, 420 holiday. I think TripAdvisor had us trending at number 1 thing to do to come in and see it, and
that's awesome.
there was a lot. We have a lot of things that's promoting us, which is good.
How many people do you guys have come through here on 420?
Or a year?
I don't know.
Give us the stats.
Put them on the spot.
I don't know. I want to say depends. So, for example, yesterday, just on yesterday, for the last Beyond experience, probably 20 people watched that one, and then maybe 100 and something people through the day, something like that. But if we got 100 people a day, that is pretty amazing actually over a weekend, because it helps us keep this place alive. I mean, just gas bill. I know you've seen that furnace there. I know the people listening can't see it, but it is monster Freddy Krueger stuff. It cost about like $1,500 a month to run. Our insurance is close to that. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Yeah, so it's a big building.
So definitely, if you can, donate.
Yeah,
help them keep this place warm. Help them keep the lights on.
Help out.
Yeah, totally worth it. They got a good thing going here. Yeah, and you've got a light show. Oh, tell us about the light show real quick that we're about to see.
Absolutely. Okay, so what we have, it's called Beyond, and what it is, it's kind of, if you've seen sort of a planetarium style light show before, you kind of have an idea of what it's about. And what we've done is we've projector mapped the entire upstairs chapel. And then basically laser lights all over the stuff, so it actually morphs and changes all the stuff that's already up there. Like the beautiful paintings can be changed. So it creates this amazing psychedelic experience. But it starts with a 10-minute guided meditation, which is done like you're floating through space, so you're surrounded and immersed in a whole star field, and it's very beautiful and very calming. You go through that, and then you go through this music, and it's got classic rock type music, Led Zeppelin and Beatles and that type of thing. And then you go through that experience, and then afterwards, when the lights all come up and you have the chapel is all lit, then you can take pictures of all the art as is. So you have this whole experience as well. And really, that's the engine now that it's starting to keep this place, alive in terms of finances. Yeah.
And how often does this happen?
It runs once a day, Monday to Thursday, between about 1:20 it starts, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it's about 20 minutes past the hour, from 11 through to 5. So 11:20, 12:20, all the way through to 5:20 on Saturdays, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And that's really, it's $15 for a regular ticket, $12 for students, kids.
So this, when we go back and tell our friends about this place and we forget everything else, what's the one thing that we must remember?
one thing that you must remember is that...
I remember it all, just so
you know. I think the most important thing to remember is that this is a real endeavor. It is a genuine endeavor being conducted by people that really want to do something important in terms of their community, that really want to do something important in terms of the cannabis community, and I really want to sort of, to say there is an alternative. It's okay. If you're a Christian, if you go to church on Sunday, if you're Jewish, if you're a Buddhist or Muslim, it's okay if you also like cannabis. It's okay if when you take cannabis, you think about those things too. It's all okay. And I think that's really important. There's no need to be upset or ashamed or scared to let people know that, that you have different dimensions to your experience and to your spiritual experience.
One of the interesting things I had read while looking you guys up, it might have been you. It was a quote from one of the founders. He was being asked about if this was just a way to smoke in public, to have a public hangout spot, and he said that it's already legal to smoke. Why would we need to do that?
Look, I just spent 2 years going through the court system. I spent an hour on a stand being grilled by a city attorney.
Thank you for that.
It's been financially and emotionally costly and expensive, and if I just want to sit around and smoke weed with my friends, I can do that at home. There is no need to go through this hassle or expense or anything else. And to suggest otherwise is just beyond stupid. Like, I just don't get it. What it even means to say that. So this is why I just don't understand that point of view. Like, there's easier things and easier ways to smoke weed with your buddies than to create this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we sincerely appreciate what you sacrificed for it.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think you were definitely one of the forefathers of this sort of cannabis culture,
Right.
religious experience. I don't know what word I'm looking for here is.
Cannabis was meant to be.
I don't even know sometimes myself. Like I say, we're seekers, we're explorers. We're going out looking for a new way of being alive and building a community and being part of if that's a religious experience or a spiritual experience. I mean, religion is really more about defining ritual. Spirituality is about defining who you are as a person and how you relate to a greater sense of self. So, however you want to put it is really up to you. I don't mind.
And I think you guys, a lot like us, are kind of redefining what it is to be a cannabis user.
Right.
I mean, we're obviously, you guys and us both were not your stereotypical lazy stoners.
Right. I mean, this is an important message and lesson to learn as well. That I think, when you have decades of the idea of the stoner being a moron, who just sits around on the couch all day and does nothing, you have that's a big hurdle to get over.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of our goals too as a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I think we share that.
Yeah, and I'm sure you guys have experienced it. People don't take you seriously. They're not really listening to what you say because they just think, oh, it's stoner. And I think that's something that we all have to just keep fighting through. And so I'm saying if that's the one that's what I would like you to take away. To keep telling people this. The people listening, just keep telling people that you're not stupid. You're an active member of your community. You care about what's going on. And you can do better, and you can help us all do better.
Yeah, just from sitting down with you, it sounds like you guys are as active or even more active in the community than any quote-unquote real church.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to potentially with some churches, but there are also wonderful people out there who are doing great things in the community as real churches as well.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not discounting them at all, but
we're trying to make sure that we're seen on the same level and not just dismissed, as a sideline.
Well, I could sit and take a semester-long class from you. There's lots of stuff that I talk to you about, but we don't have the kind of time.
Okay.
What's your website?
You can go to www.internationalchurchofcannabis.com or elevationists.com or elevationists.org. Any of those will get you to the same place. But the best thing to do, just search for us on Google and you can't miss us.
Facebook, Snapchat, Google,
Instagram, all of that good stuff.
Yeah. Where can you find us?
We're at highermindspodcast.com.
highermindspodcast.com.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, SoundCloud.
If you Google Higher Minds Podcast, it comes up. It's the podcast for the intellectual stoner.
Awesome.
What did we just changed the tagline just yesterday?
Well, we got posters and it's different now. It's for the intellectual in parentheses unsophisticated stoner. We just I added that word on a whim.
You were trying to class us up a little bit, and I swear way too much for that, so we had to throw in that Actually, I don't know if it's just being in a church, but I don't think I've swore once yet.
I haven't really.
Fuck.
I haven't heard you say any fucking curse words at all.
Thank you so much for
Thank you. It's been a
sitting
pleasure.
and talking to us.
Yeah.
Your time you seem like you don't have much time, and you've been super gracious. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
HighMindsPodcast.com.
International Church of Cannabis.com.
Sorry.
Thank you.
All right.
Deuces, everybody.
Deuces.
All right. Thanks.
So, just kidding. We're back.
Bye.
We kind of wrapped early so we could make it to the light show
Oh, it was good.
up in the chapel. That was good shit.
It's called Beyond.
Beyond?
What's the guy's name? Muchler?
Adam Muchler.
Adam Muchler designed it, and he's the artist that did it. What do you call it? He did to it. To make
The
it?
video sound.
Yeah, shall I stay over here? I mean, basically what it is, it's called projection light mapping, and you create a grid with all the projectors around the ceiling, and then you can like bend and warp that stuff, and then add to that images that fit the how you cut out the roof, so you create those amazing images.
Yeah, that was really cool. I'd never seen anything like that before.
Yeah, it's really, really good. And I don't want to describe it too much. Come and see it. It's worth it. $15.
The chapel's beautiful with the lights on. It's that much better during this Beyond Light show.
This is the place to go in Denver.
Absolutely worth the $15 to get it. Absolutely.
Great. I second that.
Thank you so much. And I don't know. That's about it.
Yeah. We cut early so we could see that, and I just wanted to give a little quick update on what we had just watched and everything.
Yep. So cool.
Yeah. Absolutely worth it.
Yep. Come see it.
International Church of Cannabis.com. HigherMindsPodcast.com.
All right. Deuces.
Deuces.